Hey, this is Niko Moon, and you're listening to Music Row.
Welcome to Music Row, a backstage pass to your favorite country artists. Here's your host, Leek.
Welcome back to the program that continues to build thanks to all the listens, all the support, all the artists, all the managers, all the labels, all the fans. It's really awesome. And yeah, we've got a big list of artists that we'll be doing stuff with over the next few months and really looking forward to it. And it's all because the listeners are there to support. So thanks for the comments, and feel free to reach out if you need us to reach out to some artist in particular, maybe your fave, your bestie. We can do it. We know some people here. This is the Music Row podcast. On this episode, Niko Moon joins us. He, along with a zillion others, will be playing Stagecoach this year. In fact, a number of which who we've had the privilege to interview already this year. So I invite you to go back and check out some of the archives of Music Row and maybe get used to seeing some of these names more and more often as quickly becoming an emerging artist pipeline to stardom, the Music Row podcast. I made that all up, but trust me, you're going to like a lot of these bands. Cassius Culpepper, Stephen Wilson Jr., just some of the names you're going to want to investigate a little bit further. We'll get into conversation with Niko Moon, who has an incredible history, an incredible story, a guy who I think was basically going to hang it all up. He runs into Zac Brown one day and fastly becomes pals, ends up touring with him for years, writing with him for years. Now he's doing it all on his own and spreading the good vibes. Trust me, this guy is all good vibes. Niko Moon coming up, and you can see him at Stagecoach 2025 if you bees around. Some news: Morgan Wallen is making waves in country music with the unveiling of his massive 37-song album, I'm the Problem. Brilliant name, by the way. He's got collabs from Tate McRae, which is a huge surprise for me. Industry favorites, Ernest and his pal Hardy, who at one point, probably a decade ago, Hardy pierced Morgan Wallen's ear one night using the E string from a guitar. You know you're having a good time when that pops into your mind going, hey, I got an idea. Dierks Bentley is gearing up to release his 11th studio album, Broken Branches. It's a heartfelt tribute to individuality and the spirit of people everywhere. And Dierks is an amazing guy. If you get to meet him, don't talk country music if you can. Just take a minute from talking country music when you run into Dierks. Talk aviation, and the guy's going to be standing beside you for hours. Big time fan of aviation. As you know, he's a pilot. So on. So get into that. I think you'll have a pretty good conversation. And then George Strait, I don't know if you caught this one. This is kind of interesting. People lost their minds as he rolled into a Dairy Queen drive-thru to pick up some ice cream for himself and pals. And, well, everyone recognizes who George Strait is, especially when you're in Texas. And it's turned into a big selfie moment. Still to come, Niko Moon on Music Row.
Wherever there's a heartbeat and a stage, there's an artist set to perform. This is Music Row on Tour.
Brought to you by the Pecan Artists Agency, connecting fans with the bands worldwide. Alabama's 2025 tour is ongoing. Post Malone's Big A Stadium Tour, or the Big Ass Stadium Tour with Jelly Roll, kicks off on April 29th in Salt Lake City. And on the 25th, you can check out John Party's Honky Tonk Hollywood Tour. It all starts in Lubbock, Texas. Coming up, Niko Moon on Music Row.
Hi, my name is Kim Stockwood. I am a proud Newfoundlander and a Canadian singer-songwriter. In a landscape where many lack access to health benefits or employee assistance programs, the Unison Fund serves as a lifeline of hope for musicians and music industry professionals facing medical emergencies or mental health challenges. To learn more about Unison and their programs, please visit unisonfund.ca.
Hey, this is Niko Moon, and you're listening to Music Row with Leek.
Niko, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Much better than a couple weeks ago when we had to cancel a meeting, cancel a conversation due to my fake illness, I guess.
Oh man, it's all good. I'm really grateful to make it happen now. Everything happens for a reason, my man. Are you feeling better? Feeling better?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. It's like if it was before COVID, I would have never thought twice about it. Like I would get on a plane with a cough and not worry about it. Now it's, wait a minute, I got to pump the brakes a little bit. Not everything needs to get done right now. Let's take a break. But most importantly, let's not get Niko sick because the guy's on the road and he's going to start pointing fingers back to me saying, yeah, I bet this guy coughing. He couldn't perform that night. Because when you're on the road as an artist, you can't get sick. And if you are, you still got to go to work.
Yeah, and I've never canceled a show for being sick. I did lose my voice in the middle of a show one time though, and that was brutal. I felt the worst I think I've ever felt during the show. But I went out and told everyone I wanted to thank them personally for coming to the show, and I was so sorry I lost my voice. So I went out there, uh, said hey to anybody that wanted to say hey and take a picture, whatever, before they headed out, and put a makeup show on the books, so I could come back and do the thing right.
Didn't Luke, hang on, did Luke Combs do that? Someone did that recently in Nashville, I believe, where they were on tour, came out and said, look, I'm going to put on a show, but here's the deal. I really can't sing. So the show's free. If you want to come, we'll come back and we'll do a makeup date. Something like that. I want to say it was Luke Combs, but I get it.
Yeah, I think you're right. That sounds right.
But yeah, you gotta keep motoring. You got to keep going. What is your routine like when you're on the road? What do you have that keeps you moving today? Like, as soon as you wake up in that hotel or on the bus or whatever, does Niko Moon need to get up and start doing some sort of calisthenics, or is it I'm going to pull out another floral print shirt and iron it right away?
I'm a creature of habit, and because of how transitory, being a touring artist is, having those daily rituals, I have found brings a sense of balance and stability to the road. So for me, I love health and wellness. So I'll get up. The first thing I do is I just have like a little moment of gratitude. And I know it sounds corny, but I've found that it really does positively impact my day. If I do it for just like a couple minutes when I wake up and then a couple minutes before I go to bed, kind of almost like, setting the ball off in the right direction. And then I'll get up, I'll make a smoothie, like a yogurt, strawberry, honey smoothie. I have some AG1 because I'm usually feeling like I'm just like, so thirsty. I don't know about you, but when I first wake up, I am like the most thirsty I am all day right when I wake up. I guess because I haven't had anything to drink in 8 hours.
Well, also you're you're in the hotels, which are normally drier than anything, or even the bus.
Well, the bus is actually even drier than a hotel. A tour bus is about the same humidity as an airplane, which is like 10%. So yeah, you're just parched when you wake up on the bus, which is how I'm typically traveling, and I'm sleeping on the bus. And then I'll go outside. I'll kick my flip flops off and put my feet on the earth and just take in the sun, especially now that it's starting to warm up, and just warm my body up, get that morning light in, and then I'll FaceTime my wife and my daughter. I got a little 2.5-year-old at home, and man, I'm so grateful for FaceTime that it's a thing. It's a thing, because my dad was a musician and he was on the road playing drums when I was a kid. And, we didn't have the luxury of being able to just hop on FaceTime like me and my daughter can. So I'm really grateful for that.
But I guess the difference, being what you didn't know when you were a kid, there wasn't such a thing as that technology. So it probably didn't bum you out as much.
Yeah, true. Because I did.
You're out there catching rocks with your buddies.
For me.
Yeah,
absolutely, man. But that always, that little routine right there pretty much always sets me off on the right path. And then I'll do a little walkthrough of the venue, see where my green room is, check the stage out, kind of get a download from my tour manager on what the day's looking like, what the show is going to look like, and then I'll usually take some work calls, some business calls. You know, there's 30 to 40 people who are part of Good Time Touring, and that make the whole thing go round and round. So it really does take a village, and I'm super grateful for everybody in the Niko Moon family, and that helps to make the ship sail smoothly. And I'll have some Zooms doing that. I'm also in the middle of launching a water brand right now that I'm super passionate about called Happy Himalayan. And so that'll be the time of the day where I'll maybe meet for stuff like that. And then it'll be time for sound check, and I'll get my in-ears dialed in for the show, doing that, work through any like new songs that we're kind of working up but haven't played yet live, or any kinks in the show that we're trying to refine. And then I'll exercise, and I cold plunge too. So I bring a portable cold plunge on the road with me, and blow it up every day. And I have found that is has a huge impact on my day as far as just feeling good. A lot of people don't know this, but it can release up to 600 to 700% of your natural dopamine levels, like a 600 to 700% increase in your dopamine from cold plunging. And that's your motivation hormone. And man, I got a lot of dreams, so I need all the motivation I can get.
Well, look, I get the habit part, being a creature of habit, and it's good to have a good set of, habits to do during the day. Alice Cooper goes to the mall every day. There's a point in his day where it's like, I'm going to the mall. And this is like after his, he plays a game of golf, goes to the mall, does a meet and greet, or goes to the room, does a sound check, does a meet and greet, lays down on the bus. But it's all the exact same. It's literally Groundhog Day for Alice Cooper to do that. But it's something that he needs to do. He has to have that sort of pattern in place.
Well, there's so much variety out there on the road. The crowd is different. There's so much novelty to every city that those sorts of things help to stabilize it all, and bring some balance to all of the new that you're getting in every day, so that you don't feel like life is living you. You feel like you got some control of it all, and keeps you a little bit sane, But before the show, I'll have my hour warm up that I kind of take myself through. That I actually went and got for the first time in my life some vocal coaching after I lost my voice on that show I was telling you about earlier, and wanted to make sure I didn't lose my voice again. And he really, this guy, really helped me to learn how to warm up properly so that my voice is strong during the show. So I'll do that. And like you said, then I'll steam my Hawaiian shirt, I go to the closet. I'm quite the connoisseur by this point. And so, I just have tons of them, and kind of think what feels right for the night, and then I'll grab it, and I got to steam my own fit. It's just a part of the routine. So put it up on the hanger, steam the fit, get it on. And the reason why I wear them is because I like to think of the show as a vacation. And I don't know about you, but when I go on vacation, I wear my vacation clothes. You heard me?
I was thinking about this too. You're probably the only country artist that probably travels with 3 pairs of flip-flops and only 1 pair of boots. You've got your runners for doing jogs. You've got 3 pairs of flip-flops. There's the hotel, the indoor flip-flops, the outdoor flip-flops, the only on the bus flip-flops, and maybe a pair of boots or 2. But compared to everybody else, you're on the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to footwear, my guess.
It's crazy. It's crazy how accurate you are right now. So I got 3 flip-flops, 1 pair of sneakers, and 1 pair of boots. The boots are, I love wearing a good, I got my Lucchese's that I just love so much, the snip toes. And if it's cold, too cold for flip-flop weather, preferably barefoot weather, then I got my boots. I got my shower flip-flops, because we're always in a different
Backstage at some of these venues, it is gnarly. Like,
it's gnarly,
they
man.
can be.
And then I got 2 pairs of flip flops, like my regular flip flops that I wear, and that's just in case I'm just absent minded and I somehow lose my pair or I forget a pair at home. I always got to back up.
Niko Moon has going to town flip flops.
Yeah, man, I don't mess around.
I love it. I love how too you are just packing on new businesses, and you got to keep moving. You're just kind of like a shark in the water, it seems. Whether it's taking vocal courses or working with the foundation, your charity that you and your wife launched. There's a lot that goes on there. In addition to, you're also somebody that helps others with songwriting. What gave you that motor to do all of that stuff? Because most people would say, well, I'm going to go out on tour and then I'm going to sit around on my ass for 6 months and not do a thing.
I think I've always kind of been attuned to the truth that life is really temporary and it's really short. And I want to make the most of this human experience that I possibly can, And I want to say on my last day that look back and feel that I lived as fully as I possibly could have. And so I'm just trying to do all the things that strike me as making my life as meaningful as possible. I get a lot of meaning out of everything I do, whether it's spending time with the family or working on the music, working on the water company, working on the clothing line, working on the nonprofit. There's something about all of that puts gas in my tank. And yeah, man, my cup overfloweth, man. I'm really grateful. I'm really fortunate. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
I think it's also too, like, one helps the other one happen. If there wasn't music for Niko Moon, there might not be water. There may not be the charity element. There's a lot of things that may not be in place.
Man, you're right. There wouldn't be none of it, honestly. It all, I guess, starts and is inspired by really the mentality of the music. If I was to zone in on one aspect of the music, I'm so grateful for positive music in my life and what it's done for me and the times that it's been there for me when I really needed to hear that every little thing was going to be all right, and wanting to pick up that tiki torch and follow in that sort of way of thinking and way of making music, because music is such a powerful thing and it can guide our thoughts. And so wanting to lead people to environments and mindsets where hopefully they make the really good memories in life, because that's kind of how I think about life sometimes. I'm a collector and I'm collecting memories, and hopefully my music can be that background soundtrack, while you're out on the water, while you're sitting around the fire, these very like elemental environments, is where I have personally found the best memories have gotten made. And so hopefully people taking that music and creating those memories in those places. And the foundation is really just an extension of that positive nature of the music, in that, a positive song goes a really long way, but sometimes you need a positive conversation. And I'm really grateful for the positive conversations I've had in my life as well. I've dealt with anxiety and depression at times in my life. And I think that is a commonality that most people listening right now, and in the world can relate to. I think it's just part of the ride of life.
Happy Cowboy Foundation. You started it just over a year ago, I guess, with your wife. And it's really there to provide support for people who are in need, may not even know that they're in need of maybe just someone to talk to. Like you said, it could be some bills and things like that. It's very much like there's a company that is out of Canada called Unison Foundation. And Unison is all for people who work in the music industry that may not have the insurance, may not have the support. When COVID happened, nobody in the industry got to tour anymore. And they went from, I think in 2019, from $125,000 in support towards these people who are in the industry to, in 2022, $15 million in support because people were losing their homes and people, were struggling with addiction and so on. And it's crazy sometimes too to think that I think people who are in those spots, they don't know they're in a spot, especially when it's mental. They don't know that they're in a spot or it's an addiction. If you're crushing pills and stuff like that, you're just thinking like, this is just what you do. And then all of a sudden the wheels fall off the truck. And that's why I think what you're doing with you and your wife and Unison and these foundations, they really are important. Because a lot of people are not having the conversation.
Yeah. Thank you for finding value in it. I kind of think of it a little bit like physical health, mental health, that is. Yeah. And kind of like what you're saying, you don't realize like you done got out as shape as you have until you're really out of shape. Right. And so I think mental health is very similar in that way. And it can be expensive, to talk to somebody, and for a lot of people, it doesn't mean a forever conversation, but maybe, a couple of months of being able to sit down with somebody to help you navigate through a particular intense situation, maybe like the death of a loved one or a divorce or loss of a job or something big, and not everybody can afford it. I grew up in a working class family. My dad's a truck driver, was a truck driver my whole life growing up, and then was playing drums and bands at night, gigging in local country bands across Texas. And my mom was a waitress for a part of my childhood, and then she worked at a temporary staffing company, helping people get temporary jobs. We were very blue collar, but we were very rich in love at the same time in our household. But I definitely felt the pressure of just everyday life from my parents,
Sure.
Even as a kid, you recognize it, and then as a struggling artist, when I first was getting going for like the first 10 years, was, a real battle. And there were times where, I could have used that conversation, but I couldn't afford it at the time, And so that's what the Happy Cowboy Foundation is all about. We come in there and help somebody out if they can't they can't afford the access, because we should all be able to have access to peace of mind.
I think too, it's become okay to talk about now, where it really wasn't. Like in the 80s and 90s, there wasn't a lot of talk about mental health like there is today. And you do your cold plunge, and you say it's doing so much for your body, but it also does a lot for your health, like your mind. That
absolutely.
So I did a cold plunge once. I'm not saying people should or shouldn't do it, but it was one of those New Year's Day things where everybody goes in the water, and my toes cramped up so much, like they curled up inside themselves. And I thought it was so tight that I thought that there was like little stones in between my toes, but it was actually just more of my toes just crisscrossing like they were braiding themselves because it was so cold. But what I'll say from that is when I was in the water, the only thing I thought about was, oh my God, it's cold. So it just erased my brain. It was like deleting, some old files on your computer. Now it's running faster. Secondly, I was awake for about 2 days. My body had just been shocked with this incredible feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. It invigorates you, and it's that raise in dopamine. It also, like you said, it helps with stress, anxiety, and things. One of the big ways is that it lowers cortisol, which is the stress hormone, so you're right. It is really good for your mental health. I honestly do it more so for mental health than for the physical, but it's great for you physically too. And for me, it really takes this holistic, proactive effort every day for me to stay leaned in to the positive and try my best to limit how much attention I give to the negative aspects of things. It's hard with every other thing you see on your phone or your TV is stressful.
Absolutely.
to find the peace in all that in modern day reality, So all that kind of stuff, getting good sleep, eating good, it all just helps to balance the scales.
You say all the things that are around us to see that it's on the phone, on the TV. And I remember a guy saying to me one day, "Oh, have you seen this new show? It's a documentary, like a murder documentary, something horrific in that." He goes, "Have you seen that new show?" He goes, "Oh, it's just sickening. It just makes makes your skin crawl. It makes your stomach turn. Oh my God, you got to watch it." I'm like, "No, you just gave me every reason whatsoever to not watch it. Why would I want that experience in my day?" And I think
it's like some people want to ride a roller coaster, you know what I mean, to feel that feeling of stress. And I think some people get that from movies or TV shows in the same kind of way. They like the suspense of it all, the thrill of it all, you might call it, But for me, I feel like every year that goes by, I feel like I get plenty of that from just regular life. You know what I mean?
Doing a lane change on the freeway.
I can handle. Yeah.
It's all the stress you need. I was thinking, you say like struggling artists for 10 years, and I don't know about where you see the world for artists today, and how they've changed, how the music industry has changed so much. But the one thing that I like about the artists who you call it struggling, I call it development. You are more ready for when things get going good because you've got all that time on stage already behind you, compared to some of these new artists. You could be crazy talented and stuff like that, but I've been saying it a lot lately. Just navigating the road with your band is a big part about being an artist. Probably 90% of being an artist, because you have a whole new family with you. But what are your thoughts on
it's a whole nother world. You're right. The music side of it is a piece of a bigger pie. And learning the road. I'm really grateful for that time that I had being a songwriter, because
you went on the road with Zac, did you not?
Yeah, because I was on the road with the Zac Brown band, and I rode on Zac's bus with him, and getting that kind of fly on the wall view of what it's like to be like a big artist on a huge tour doing stadiums and
professional
just as
circuit.
big as it can possibly get. Yeah, 13 buses and like 20 trucks. It was such an education, and I didn't graduate from college or anything. And I kind of think of it as I went to the University of Zac Brown Band and got my education there. And I'm really grateful for that experience, and I'm grateful for that time of helping him write songs for the band, because I needed that time to develop as a songwriter. I thought I was there back then, but I wasn't, and I need time to grow and as a songwriter and get better at it, and he really helped me to learn how to hear for when something is special about a lyric, a melody, so definitely like a little bit of a big brother in the music world for me. And really grateful for that time out there on the road and learning all the ins and outs of music, so that now I feel like at this time of my life, there's no way I could navigate what I'm doing right now if I hadn't got that education back then. So now I know what to do and how it all works. And
I'm sure
everything happens for a reason.
I'm sure it helps too when you're going in and doing writes with other artists today, that you have an approach that is probably vastly different than a lot of other artists that are out there doing writes in Nashville and such, because you've got all this, the school of Zac Brown behind you, and you're going to be writing with somebody for 4 or 5 hours who you may never have met before, but you got to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. I've learned over time that developing a little bit of a relationship at the beginning of the ride is really important, and to not just like get right into it, because you don't really know each other yet. And I've found over time that it's important to get some kind of baseline understanding of each other and who we are and where we're at in life right now, and kind of, especially for the artists themselves, the person that the song is being written for, so that the song can ring as true with them as possible, and if the songwriter or the producer doesn't have a firm pulse on who that artist is in that moment, then they're not going to be able to give their best to them in their role as songwriter or producer, in that songwriting session that day.
I hear fake songs from artists all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you just know that this isn't who that person is. They're trying to sing, that it's earnest and their feelings are, they're real and stuff like that. But it's like, no, you didn't grow up on a farm. You grew up in a big city and your dad was a banker. So stop talking about the hurt of the mill shutting down. And let's make it a little bit more real. But is that so? What?
Yeah,
what,
it's got to come from a real place. I feel like I personally, I need to write my own music. It's just an aspect of me. But I don't think maybe that's the case for every artist. Not every artist maybe has that skill set for songwriting, but they got the skill of and the passion for singing, and they're maybe phenomenal at that. Also phenomenal at being in front of a crowd and connecting with them in a really powerful way. And there's a lot of songwriters out there that didn't get the gift of the voice, and so these people can come together as a team and create something really special, and that's really valid, I think. So it just depends, on the artist, but
it's also their time. It's their time in. Right. I think for yourself, it's easy for you to say now because you've got thousands of songs behind you. But when I hear I love this beach, I'm like, this guy wrote this probably in 1 minute because he really does love this beach. And I don't mean that as a negative, but that's what happens with good songs. They can come.
I just love being by the water. It hits the reset button in my brain,
Funny, because you didn't grow up on the water.
I didn't grow up on the water. I grew up inland outside of Atlanta. But we would go to the lake, and when we would, I would just feel like I was going to paradise, And then like once a year, we go down to the Panhandle to Panama City or Destin or somewhere like that. And man, it was just the most intense, And I felt like we were just going on this great adventure, And those memories just really cemented themselves in my mind. And I would just kind of almost fantasize and think about them when I was back home. Because everything was different, there was the ocean and the salt was in the air, and there's palm trees instead of pine trees. And, we were going out to all these cool seafood restaurants and, just walking on the beach and the sand and the fact that, you had sand instead of the red dirt, and everything about it was just new and exciting and a vacation, And it's true. Like my worries, really, all the little things about life did melt away, and still do for me to this day. And so I find a lot of peace of mind there. And I wanted this new album, American Palm, to be this vacation album, that really just takes you to the beach, or to the lake, basically wherever you go to the water to do a little refresh, a little rest and relaxation,
a reset, friends, family,
reset.
Everyone can chill.
Exactly. And I Love This Beach is the first song off of it. So I wanted to just set the tone with that one. That this is the vibe that's coming for the entire album. It's a full concept album. So front to back, you're on vacation. And then my single that I'm taking to radio and is the main focus track is called Boat Song. And it comes out the first week of May. And I'm so excited about it, man. It's, it's probably my most favorite thing to do by the water is to just get on like a pontoon boat and just ride nice and easy with my family and my dog. And, there's just something that's just so relaxing about it. And I wanted to have a song that people could really play while they're out on the water, ride around on their boats this year that felt like a boat song. Because I noticed that a lot of times when I'm out on the water, when I'm listening to music, maybe like more like bar music or a breakup song or a makeup song or, a song about this, song about a love song about this or that. But not really about a song about being on a boat, But when I'm on a boat, that's what I want to listen to. I want to listen to boat music, you know?
I get it.
I wanted to write a boat anthem.
I did a Google search years ago for Lazier River because lazy wasn't good enough. I needed to see, let's get it to all-time world ranking, #1, best one to float down. Niko Moon's got dates all through the West Coast, a quick rip through Canada, and then I think you're on the road for like 6 or 7 weeks straight coming up in a week, and then it's every weekend after that. So you've got one busy summer, but quickly, you're going back to Coachella. Second time there?
Second time getting to play Stagecoach, man. I'm so pumped.
Sorry, Coachella Stagecoach. If I could only...
Well, you know, they're at the exact same place.
I know. And same with and there's a third festival. I think even a fourth one that's coming to the same ground.
Oh, wow.
In Palm Springs. Playing at Stagecoach, your second time going there. I imagine because you're the happy, easy person at any backstage area, you must be just constantly adding new contacts to your phone when you're backstage going, yeah, it'd be nice. We should talk again at some point, because at some of these festivals, and Stagecoach would be one of them, it is like kind of going to like a reunion or a camp because everyone's backstage. They've got great catering and you get to hang out with a lot of pals. Is there anyone that you are looking forward to seeing at Stagecoach this year?
Ooh, you know, I heard that Shabuzi's going to be there, and we crossed paths a few months ago, and I thought he was a really nice guy. So I've never got to like really full on like see his show, and so I love that song, Bar Song. So or Tipsy, you know. So would love to watch his set.
Yeah, he plays the same stage that you do on the same day, so that's going to be an easy one. You'll just have to have someone else pack up your flip-flops,
So
have your after-show flip-flops ready, and then go check out Shabuzi.
exactly, man. Exactly. And I couldn't think of a better place to do my music. You know, it's warm. It's very much like summer vibes, you know. We're finally back into warm weather. So, you know, I'm cracking out of my ice cage, man, from the wintertime, man, and ready to tackle the summer and go on vacation all across North America, Canada, and the U.S.
Back in Canada real soon. Niko, thanks for doing this. We'll check you out real soon. I can't wait to see you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me, brother. Have a great one.
Follow Music Row on X at Music Row Country, on Instagram at Music Row Official. Music Row is produced by Shed of Dreams.